Welcome aboard. My name is Joe Farkas, and I'm the architect of this ship. And I'd like to tell you a story. This ship, the design of this ship, as well as all the ships that I have done for Carnival Cruise Lines, has a story. And that story begins with an idea. It's what I call a central idea. And that idea is some people like to call it a theme. I don't. It is a point where I begin all the designs. It's an intellectual idea for me to build artistic creations around that all of the public rooms on board of the ship follow, so that to me there is a coherence in the design that varies in how that's interpreted from room to room. The process begins by making the drawings that flesh out the central idea. These are all architectural drawings done to scale that show the floor plans, the ceiling plans, the main elevations and details, some of which we do on computer, but again, the initial drawings are all done by hand. Basically, everything that you see on this ship today is laid out by us and specified by us so that every note is carried out in some particular material or detail around the ship. We then turn all this documentation over to the shipyard, who in turn turns it over to the subcontractors who make each individual public room. And during this whole course of roughly about 2 years, we are in constant touch with the shipyard, going to the subcontractor, seeing mock-ups, watching it under construction. So it is a total hands-on job until the ship is finished and we're all sitting on board like we are now. When I began to design the Carnival Pride, I thought to myself, well, I really want this to be a beautiful ship. And that led me immediately to the central idea of this ship. Icons of beauty, or things that the adjective, boy, that's beautiful, could be used against. And you'll see when you go around this ship that that concept is interpreted in very different ways, from an actual beautiful object to some sort of beautiful experience. Starting off in the areas of the lobby, atrium, and stairways, the architectural beauty that came to me was the Renaissance. The Renaissance was the period of time when art and architecture reached their zenith, at least in terms of public awareness and desire to create something, really, beauty for its own sake. We have famous paintings of the Renaissance period reproduced in ceiling panels and artwork between sofas on the atrium wall opposite the glass elevators, and combining those with architectural details of bronze pediments and Renaissance-style columns and so forth, and beautiful wood paneling to give you this Renaissance feeling, but interpreted in my own contemporary way. When I began designing the main theater on the Pride, the icon that came to my mind was the Taj Mahal, the famous building that was built by an Indian potentate to honor his wife, who died before the building was actually finished. And it truly is a magnificent building. And we've tried, through architectural details, to recreate some of the feelings that you would see in the Taj Mahal. When I began designing the secondary show lounge aboard the Pride, I was searching for something beautiful, so I took a flight of fancy and thought that the beautiful butterflies that people collect and you see in showcases and so forth would be an interesting way to express this, and I thought I could recreate butterfly wings that are done in translucent, colorful fabrics that are lit from behind, that make butterfly wings the main element that you see along the walls, and it's also amplified by butterflies that are created in multicolor sort of constructions hung from the ceilings. I am personally a ship enthusiast, and among enthusiasts, probably what's known as the most beautiful ship ever built was the French liner, the Normandy. So I thought I would do my best to recreate the feeling of the Normandy in the main restaurant. And I've done this by using architectural details in the Art Deco style, glass chandelier elements that were reminiscent of Lalique work throughout the room. And the major thing that we did was to create a mural depicting the Normandy at sea in various different positions in the main ceiling above the two-story high opening in the deck. So the room came out to me, I think, a fairly good representation of what you might see on the Normandy. In Florence, Italy, probably the most beautiful statue ever made is housed, and it's Michelangelo's David, and it is a real icon of beauty. It is just magnificent. And I thought that this would be really great to be the hallmark of our pinnacle restaurant aboard the Pride, the Supper Club. So we have David's Supper Club, which sits on top of the atrium that you enter by climbing this unbelievable glass stairway that soars through the atrium from the Lido restaurant below to the Supper Club. It's a great experience to do it, a little scary, but I really suggest you go for it because it's a lot of fun. And when you come up the stair, you will see a faithful, full-size replica of David, the statue, in the room. And to give a background to this wonderful statue, we've created an interior which is a contemporary Renaissance interior using classical details that Michelangelo himself might have used in one of his buildings and used that throughout. Our casual Lido restaurant aboard the Pride has magnificent views of the sea. So I was looking for an icon of beauty that was somehow related to the sea. And the icon of mermaids came to mind, and I thought mermaids are beautiful women, have been involved in mythology for years. So we had a sculptor make beautiful mermaids who are swimming through the room. And they're swimming on a jet of water. It's made out of plastic, and it forms like a water jet that the mermaid is sort of flying on top of. And it's colored like water with some deep cobalt blues, has lighting inside to enhance the effect. It's all under a ceiling made up of little aluminum strips painted in many different colors, all of which you can see in the sea. So it forms this melange of color that represents all the seas of the world. You go to the racetrack. You bet $200 on a 300-to-1 shot, and the horse comes in and wins. What do you say? That was beautiful. And that's the icon that I used for the casino. So the casino is the winner's club. And I used the idea of horse racing by creating torsos of jockeys in their silks with the riding boots underneath them, everyone in a different pattern from various farms that raise the thoroughbreds. Also, we have murals of two of the most famous racetracks in the world, and I use red padded leather walls, wood paneling, and so forth to create that jockey club bar atmosphere. And standing very proudly at the entertainment bar in the casino is a jockey holding his riding crop in his boots who has just won the great big race. Going into the sports bar, I wanted to recreate another beautiful experience, and certainly in sports, the beautiful experience is the perfect game. So we have the perfect game bar, and the way to realize that was to create murals done in an old-fashioned style of really rugged teams from the past. All of these paintings are done in what's called the ashcan style, which was a style of painting that came from the Depression-era period. And to amplify the multi-sport nature of it, I've created sculptures made out of real baseballs and basketballs and soccer balls and golf balls stacked on top of each other, forming some sort of pyramid of these shapes. And then the walls themselves are made out of simulated covers from baseballs and basketballs and footballs and so forth. Miami Beach is known for, especially South Beach, is known for its club scene. And what beauties do you see there? Well, it's the people. So I thought that the beautiful, perfect bodies would be a great icon to represent in the dance club, which is called Beauties. So we had sculptures made of torsos of fabulous female figures and fabulous male figures, painted in all different bright colors and used throughout the room. So it's a fabulous scene to just be among the beautiful people and dance the night away. The piano bar or karaoke club aboard this ship is the Ivory Bar. I chose the name because karaoke, of course, comes from Japan, and one of the most beautiful art forms in the world are carved ivory pieces that come from Japan. You have netsuki, which are little wonderful sculptures of all sorts of interesting things, from women combing their hair to fish to crabs and so forth, which are represented in a wonderful collection of little netsuki that are located in vitrines. Also, we have carved, what look like carved ivory panels in bonsai tree motifs used throughout the room, and wooden details that come from Japanese architecture, the pediments and columns and so forth that are very mindful of the Japanese style. One of my favorite painters of all times is Vincent Van Gogh. who was a Dutch post-impressionist painter who made some of the most beautiful paintings ever made in his own very peculiar style. The painting that I chose to represent in the jazz club was Starry Night in Arles. He made two Starry Night paintings, and this is probably the lesser known of the two. But what I did was to take that painting, which is a painting of an outdoor cafe on a street with an awning, and reproduce it in architectural terms so that you are sitting actually in the painting itself at the cafe that Van Gogh painted in from Arles in France. What we have on board, it's an experience. It's something meant for you to have fun and enjoy and relax and all of those things that you've come on board the ship for. And we spare really no expense in making that happen. Almost nothing that you see on board is off-the-shelf material, so to speak. Everything follows the specifications that I mentioned, but they're all custom-made pieces. It's not a museum, but in a way it's like going to a museum because there is so much to see. And it will really enhance your cruise, I think, by making this a discovery process. My hope is that the environment itself will engender this type of exploration and discovery process. Further, I hope by the end of the cruise you haven't really seen everything yet and you'll want to come back again.